Ladies and gentlemen, today is Monday, August 22, 2022. I would like to call to order the regular board meeting of the Othello School District Board of Directors. We have had a couple meetings before this, and we've already done our flag salute. So I'd like to welcome everyone. Those of you here in the boardroom, thank you for being here. Those of you that are online, we appreciate as well you taking time out of your busy schedules to watch us as we conduct our business. Having said that, I will motion to approve tonight's agenda with the following amendments: that we add staff recognition after B2, as B2, excuse me, after public comment. Can I get a second?
I second.
Any further discussion? All in favor of the approval of agenda as stated? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Tell us when we can refresh, buddies. I know you type pretty fast. Okay, is there any public comment tonight, Marissa? All right. I would like to remind the public that we do have an avenue for public comment. If you can't be here in person, there is an email when the announcement goes out for that. Is there any need for Spanish translation is what I should have started with tonight. I also forgot that. I apologize. Not seeing none. We move on to board member discussion. First bullet there.
I thought B2 was going to be,
Staff recognition.
it refreshed on mine.
Does it say new agenda item or staff member recognition?
It just says
New
B2,
agenda
staff
item.
recognition.
Okay. I will invite Ed Peterson forward to present our staff recognition.
Back here real quick. There.
There you go.
See, I just needed to get my exercise to make the microphone work. That's how things are going. Always an honor to be able to do a staff recognition and a challenge coin presentation. And tonight, I have invited Dawn Douglas and Marion Shade and Dawn's family to the meeting. Dawn is a driver trainer in our transportation department. And I actually nominated Dawn myself this month because I've had the opportunity over the last couple of years that I've worked in the district now to get to know Dawn a little bit, to ride on her bus, get to know her students, and actually to learn from her, going through part of, at least when I can show up, some of the driver training that our substitute drivers go through. And it's given me a whole lot of respect for, a new respect for drivers and their jobs and what they have to know and how professional they really are. And Dawn is a true professional. Dawn is somebody who she's proud of her job as a bus driver. She's proud to tell people she's a bus driver. She wants excellence in her profession, and she demonstrates that. And if you get the opportunity to ride her bus and meet some of her students, she invited me onto her bus last spring, towards the end of the year. She was given some rewards to students who had earned them on her bus. And one of them, she was a little first grade girl. Regan? Was that her name? Yeah, the talker. Oh, was that Emily? No, that wasn't you. Okay, I apologize. But other students that she's had on her bus, they like their bus driver. They talk about their bus driver, and it's not just Dawn. They talk about all their bus drivers when they get to know them and know that their bus driver cares about them. So Dawn exemplifies, in my opinion, all of these core values. She definitely builds meaningful relationships, but she's also working hard to further the profession and further the image of the profession of bus drivers, and does a lot to encourage others, I think, in that role, to help retain drivers, to help teach them how to become excellent drivers. But I want to invite Marion up here, since Marion knows her even better, to talk a little bit more.
I made a few notes. But tomorrow's your 10-year anniversary for the district.
Wow.
I don't know if you're aware of that or not. And she's been on the same route for 10 years. She was just telling me that Gael was one of her students. Sorry, Gael. But she's a mentor, everything that Ed said and more. She's a mentor to her students on the bus, to her coworkers. She loves what she does, and it shows. She's always posting that we need drivers and does that on her own. And so That's probably why we have as many candidates as what we have right now, which is good. And she's always looking for and sharing ideas of ways to improve our district and department. So I'm very proud that you received this. You deserve it.
Photos.
Face him for the picture. The photo.
Marion, you're in it too.
All right, Don. Don. I don't like doing this, but is there anything you'd like to tell us? I do it all the time. I do it all the time. Actually, we want to hear from you. I mean, if these folks are saying such great things about you, first, congratulations.
Thank you.
I think after you hear someone so eloquently brag about you, it's got to be for a reason. So on behalf of Gael and all the students that you've brought to OSD and on behalf of this board, thank you. But no, the mic is yours to say whatever you'd like to say.
Oh, boy. I just find it an honor to be able to drive the kids every day. It's fun. It's a great way to interact with the kids, make an impact in our community. It's not ever just you're just a bus driver. I get to be a bus driver. I get to be with these kids every day. I get to be the first person they see, the last person before they get off the bus to who knows what they're going home to. I get to be that last person that says, have a great day, see you tomorrow. So, I don't know, it's just a fun job, and I'm thankful I get to be part of this district and driving.
Congratulations. You may not think this, but something you just said, I'm gonna use as a segue to anybody who's listening tonight and is a bus driver and considers their job just to be, well, I am a bus driver. You just heard one of your peers say that you have an impact on the lives of these kids. Don't forget that when you turn that bus on. You may be the only smile a kid gets that day. I'm sorry for getting emotional here, but as you were saying it, I could just picture and I could see the pride you take in your job. And that's why you're getting this award tonight. So thank you. And to all you bus drivers out there, you guys all are awesome. And you do make impact on kids' lives. Thank you, Don. Appreciate it very much. Okay, now moving on to board member discussion. Director Stevenson, do we have a ledge report?
I do not at this time.
Okay, and the handbook is in there for us to make any revisions to the
us.
stuff that,
Well, the revision time is
done.
over.
okay.
There was a few things that I wanted to point out. Can you pull that up? And I'll tell you what page we're on. For some of I spent some time looking through it today. It's a big fatty fat book. Page 27. There's a lot of stuff in here. So just some things to make sure you pay attention to. There we go. That one. So this is Resolutions Committee. This is a permanent position that we are proposing, and I'm on the Resolutions Committee. There's only one person from each of the 11 districts, and this is something that I wanted you guys to see because I would like to consider changing OSD's policy from non-discrimination to diversity and to celebrate those kinds of things. Non-discrimination is just such a negative thing, and it talks about it the way it was. Talks about on RCW and how it was a negative connotation before, and it's been changed to diversity and celebrating all of the diversity that we have within our district in so many different ways. So kind of wanted to see if what anyone thought about that. Okay. I mean, there'll be some tweaks, and on our non-discrimination isn't the same as this, but there's a lot of parts that we spent so much time on every single word and how we can make it. So anyways, that's a proposed do pass. And then if you'll go to page 46. Since we actually had, this is a legislative proposal change, and it's about social media. Since OSD has had staff in the past, not more than one, make comments on their social media. This is specifically about districts and different social media sites. WASDA trying to propose in legislation that districts, if it's a hate thing, that they can immediately have it request it being removed, or if it falls under certain things, that they can immediately have it removed. A threat to cause substantial disruption. It mostly refers to a district being attacked in this specific policy, but and then it even addresses there's still freedom of speech, but sometimes freedoms only go so far. It references districts and students, but we all know that staff have social media posts and places as well. And so it's a proposed do pass that there were multiple groups that proposed this. So wanted to just get that in our thoughts to kind of, because there's a fine line about someone's First Amendment rights, but encroaching on others as well. So page 50 is another legislative one, and I and other members of the legislative committee. So this is something I wanted to kind of also point out. They're taking 3 or 4 original positions, and they're trying to consolidate it all into one. There's multiple places that this is done. The purpose of that is to get the same topic that's discussed in many different places and ways all together in one, so that it will rise to the top in priorities. This is all about digital access, educational access for all. It talks about broadband deserts and so many different things. And so we took all of those together, and there was somebody from Spokane, somebody from Seattle, the greater Seattle area. I shouldn't just say Seattle because she would be offended. And I had heard through the grapevine that they were discussing this, and so I reached out to Logan and said, hey, I want on that committee. I would love to be able to share Othello's perspective, because they didn't have a small rural district that was, and so we tweaked a bunch of things. Really happy with this. It is proposed to do pass, but this is such a key thing that affects everyone district-wide and affects Othello as well. So, and then if you'll go to page 56, this is the last one. It's 56 through 58. It's proposed to delete a whole bunch of different things. And so character development, that's not a board's job. And it's specifically referenced in RCW. And so that was, if you'll go up a little bit more, so it has the proposed amendment all crossed out, clean proposed amendment, and then the rationale for every single thing as to why. That's not the role or responsibility of a school board director. So there's a lot of different ones that they've been deleting, permanent positions, legislative positions, really trying to clean up all of that stuff. There's a ton under learning, because every year the resolutions committee picks a specific section. There's 5 different sections under the permanent positions, and we just review them and tweak them and get them up to current whatever. So, any other questions or thoughts? Anybody have a chance to look through the handbook?
I didn't read the entire thing, but I recall from being the one that voted last time that even some of the due pass, the recommended due pass, they were met with a lot of
Yes.
obstacle. There was great
Opposition.
debate.
Mhm.
A couple of them didn't pass, even though they were recommended by the different committees to pass. No, I just want to commend you for informing us on stuff like this, and I think we haven't done it officially, but you'll be our voting delegate.
Okay.
But no, I appreciate the fact that you take the time to point these more important ones out to us and give us a brief explanation to those. Thank you very much.
There's a whole section at the end is all do not passes.
Yep.
The ones that, I mean, lots of stuff near the end. But, and Pete, I would really like you to look through the staff section. There's a lot of staff changes that I would love to hear your opinions on at a later date. Dealing with unions, disputes, negotiations. There was a lot of stuff in here that I was like, ooh, that kind of hurts just reading that because of us just getting through some negotiations. So, but then you get through all the different sections. At the end is all of these do not pass that are proposals from sometimes within the legislative or the legislative committee, sometimes from other boards. Many of them were, if you look at the rationales, it says this isn't fundamental to WASDA. A lot of different things. So we could potentially do one vote for all of those if somebody doesn't pull them, to say everything that's do not pass, we're not going to pass it at the General Assembly. But if somebody pulls it, then it gets its individual discussion and vote. So,
All right, once again, thank you for that, Jen. Appreciate it. And as we committed to after our levy and bond workshop last time, we just have that on there as an item just to keep it in the back of our minds of some of the dates that we do have coming up. Moving on to item B4, student representative reports. Elise, Gael, don't know if you guys have something that you want to report on. I'd like to publicly thank you guys for the workshop we held prior to this meeting, helping us with a student handbook, perhaps a creation of one, to enhance our operation or our procedures here as to how we recruit, how we retain, how we train, and enhance the position of the student rep to help us as a board. So,
I have no report.
Neither do I, sorry.
well, I hope you enjoyed your summers because they've come to an end and you guys are back to school. Thank you for that. Thank you for being here tonight. Appreciate you both very much. Moving on to item C1, I will entertain a motion to approve tonight's required approvals.
I make a motion to approve tonight's required approvals.
I second.
Motion's been made to approve required approvals and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Before we do go on, I would like to say that this is a long name, Comprehensive School Counseling Program Transition Plan, that's so long, is amazing.
Yes, it is.
And I reading it, understand that there was a state rule or mandate or blah, blah, blah that had to be done. But I love seeing and knowing that there's a whole plan in place and that the SEL and long-term needs of our students are being met. Thank you.
And can I
Thank you,
make-
Amy. You're such an asset to the district, and the kids in our district are so lucky to have you. So thank you so much for all of your hard work. All of it. You're amazing.
I just want to make a really quick comment on one of the items that was on that. And that's, I just want to thank the PSC negotiating committee and the district committee to make that really painless effort and get this done quickly. I really appreciate
Yeah, we appreciated the
everybody involved on
conversation
that
with,
one.
with PSE over the summer as well, and that we're able to get it approved before their ratification meeting, which is tomorrow, I think.
Awesome. I'd like to move that we approve account payables warrant 2.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
And I'll have to abstain from that vote.
Motion carries 4-0 with 1 abstention. Moving on to item C3, superintendent informational reports.
Just 3 items on there this evening. One is the PLC calendar. That was a conversation that we had with the board. I think at our previous meeting, we were able to participate in a labor management meeting and get clarity from OEA around those dates. And so we're just providing the updated calendar. And we'll post that to our website and our media as well for families. Provide, again, we talked about last time, to provide that consistency of experience, not only for our families, but also for our staff. There's an additional PDF attached related to OSD certificated turnover data. That was a request made by Director Stevenson. So there are just 2 slides in there, and would welcome any question or comment about that data if there is any from the board.
I would love to just say thank you so much for putting this together. It was interesting to see the turnover, knowing that nationwide there is such a massive turnover, and to see, I think it was on the bottom of the first page that shows what the national number is, 9.2. In Washington State before that, and then 10%. But OSD's average is 6.48. So I think we're doing pretty good, even with the difficulty that we've had for the last 3 years. But we value our teachers, and I hope that they know and understand that. And I hope that people can see that these numbers show that there's ups and downs in every profession, but I was surprised at how small these numbers were and was happy to see that. Thank you.
I did want to recognize Sandra Villarreal, Executive Director of HR, and her staff. They have the data. It was just a matter of collecting it and putting it together for the board. So apologize for the delay in getting you that response, Director Stevenson. But I would echo your statements that, when you think about just your district and your work, it can feel like, oh, there's a lot of turnover. But you don't know what the experience is across the state or across the country. And certainly the teacher shortage, we're hearing an awful lot about that because school's starting up all over the country. And it's a real issue in many states. There were a number of years where we had a lot of difficulty finding and attracting candidates. And it's going to be more and more challenging over the next few years with folks retiring and moving on. But I think we should be proud of these numbers. We're in the game. Folks, when they come here, those 40 or so that we had on the bus today, in 10 years, a number of them are still going to be here. And it's because, number one, because I think we have good kids and they enjoy the work and that they have the support of the community so that they can do their jobs as educators. So I think we're proud of those numbers as well.
I think we all should be proud of those numbers. It's a true testament to some of the things that have been in the works for a long time. I remember I said at one meeting, might have been 3 or 4 years ago, that if you if you create the right atmosphere, people that come here, if you attract them to come and it's the right situation, they'll stick around. And I think we're seeing the fruits of that. And I think more so here in the last couple of years, the atmosphere, in my opinion, is becoming more and more conducive to attract more people and keep them around. So kudos to everyone involved. Sandra, thank you very much for the information as well. I appreciated that very much. Okay, moving on to item E1, policy review. We have a couple of first readings on some new DOPs, and then there was some DOPs that were emailed to us a while back, or about a week or so ago, that are named on here as first reading, but actually we have to have a discussion around, and we actually need to motion the approval of some of these. So I will open it up to anybody who's got any questions on any of these or any recommendations or changes before I make a motion.
I think it's fair to say why, a fair question, I guess, to ask or to have the public know about we have been told as to why they need to be approved at this meeting as a first reading. But could we get clarity for those, for everyone?
Yeah, I can provide a statement for the ones that are submitted, particularly from special education, some from our health and safety areas, and I believe there's one in there from finance as well. As school year starts up in the state of Washington, there are different start dates for, we're one of the earlier start dates in the state. And as the regional and state level organizations get together and talk about updating policies and making recommendations to boards and to school districts, much of that in Western Washington can happen in the next few weeks before school starts. We happen to be at the front end of that. So it was a matter of timing and not getting it to the board in time for the previous meeting, but still sharing with you the urgency in getting these approved, many of them just to bring us in line with best practices and state recommendations. So there aren't significant or dramatic changes, but it is, I think it's important to let the community know. We typically like to give you more time to think about and consider these, but for the district, for our staff, and for our students, there's a sense of urgency around them. But it was really just a timing issue from the last board meeting when our district leaders became aware of some of these items.
Thank you for that clarification. I would like to propose that we approve E1-3 through E1-7 at this meeting.
There's been a motion made to approve items E1-3 through E1-7. That consists of DOP 2161, DOP 2162, DOP 2163, DOP 3246, and new DOP 6035. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Moving on to item F1, upcoming events. We have the all-staff orientation tomorrow. First day of school on the 25th. And our next board meeting is on September 12th.
But the time on this all-staff orientation is that accurate for staff, but just not for the board? It says 8 a.m.
Yeah, it's not, don't show up at 8 a.m. Staff will be at their respective sites between 7:30 and 8 a.m. depending on the particular school. The district office staff will be there setting up in the morning and preparing for the day. But the actual events and activities begin at 10 a.m. There'll be secondary staff there from 10 a.m. to 11. From 11 to 12:30, there will be a shared sort of community lunch for all of our employees and all of our staff, followed by PSC and OEA holding their meetings at McFarland. Right after the association meetings, we'll have another 1-hour session with our elementary staff. So if a board member intended to be there for the entire stretch, it would be from 10 to 2. But if you're there from 10 to 12:30 or so, you'll get a chance to see the presentation, to connect with all of our employees, and to have a shared meal with them as well. But you're welcome for any or all of it. But I would not show up before 9:45.
All right, thank you for that clarification, Pete. Moving on to item F2, board self-assessment of the meeting. I'd like to remind our student reps that you are welcome to interject any observations. We've made it a commitment of ourselves to assess how we conduct our meetings, and this method has actually helped us to, I think, like I've mentioned earlier, streamline these, yet bring the relevant topics to the community, to ourselves, and in a timely manner. So I'm going to, again, well-planned agenda, and I think we did it in a very good time.
Everybody's here, including both student reps, the entire board, our superintendent.
It's been a while.
Yeah,
Yep. Great.
so love that.
Brief meetings, even if there are 3 in a row that don't feel brief, are always appreciated.
And I'd like to commend the district on the, what do we call those, coins? Continuing to recognize our staff. I think it's vital we continue to do those things.
I'm excited to start recognizing students as well.
Same.
Chocolate. That's a delta. We should have chocolate at every meeting. If I have to add something, let's add chocolate.
I found two
Okay,
that made it
snacks are
pass
fine.
from our last meeting. Thank you, Marissa. I was like, ooh, they really were a golden nugget,
I'll have to, let's see.
pure gold.
Anything else you'd like to add Pete?
Well, I think I will add, I certainly appreciate the, I guess I'll phrase it as engagement for all 3 meetings. This might feel like, hey, it's a 30-minute meeting and we got through it, but you all have been here since about 5:15. So they can be long days, and it's, before staff orientation and all that. So I really appreciate the engagement from everybody, including our student reps tonight in what could be a long and painful night, but didn't really feel like it. So thank you for that.
Awesome. Well, once again, thank you, everyone. Our business is concluded and this meeting's adjourned.